Welcome back to the Sherwood Urban Farm. In today's video we're going to talk about a unique and efficient way to water your plants. It's going to encourage healthy plant growth and greater yields and save you money in the long run. This method is known as pulse watering, and I tell you, it has been a game changer in my garden. So come along with me and I'll show you what I've done. So what exactly is pulse watering? So this is a method of irrigation where water is applied in multiple short intervals or pulses instead of a continuous flow. So you know, if you've ever read in a gardening magazine how you should water, you watched online on videos how to water your garden, they're going to tell you that you should water once a week deeply. But that doesn't work. I have been trying that for years, and when the summer comes and it's super hot, I can water until I'm blue in the face and scratch in the ground and the ground is still dry. So where does the water go? I'm always confused, like where can it go? Now, what is happening is if you are watering deeply once a week, the capillary action in the ground is actually not there, it's non-existent. So the water just goes straight through and you're filling up the underground aquifers or something. Where with this technique, it allows gradual penetration into the soil, promoting deeper moisture distribution and reduces runoff or surface pooling. Okay, I don't have surface pooling, but we certainly have got runoff. Sometimes your water and the soil, it almost becomes like hydrophobic, and you water and water and it just runs off. It's not going in your scratch and it's bone dry underneath. So by pausing in between pulses, the soil is able to absorb each application before more water is added, making it accessible to your plant's roots and allowing you to reduce your water usage by 20 to 30%. Think about that, guys. Because you know, here by us in December, we don't have rain. December, January, February, we might start to get rain again in March. So everybody seems to have a dry season within the year. And specifically, if you're going to have a dry season in the summer months, oh, it's just so harsh. I've only got 10,000 liters of water in my tanks, and I'm definitely going to run out of water if I'm going to be doing continuous watering once or maybe twice a week. So normally this method of watering, this pulse watering, it is used to conserve water and to increase plant growth. So let's get into this a little bit more. How does pulse watering work? Well, pulse watering leverages the capillary action in the soil to help penetrate deeper and distribute more evenly throughout the soil. Capillary action in soil refers to the movement of water through tiny little pores between the soil particles. When subsequent pulses of water are added, they follow the capillary pathways that are already formed, allowing the water to move further and more evenly through the soil profile. Studies in sandy and loam soils have found that pulse watering can increase the reach of water via the capillary action by between 25 and 40% compared to continuous watering. So why does pulse watering work so well? Well, it comes down to two key benefits: deep water penetration and better root aeration. So by watering in pulses, you allow the soil to soak up each dose before you add more. This helps the water to move deeper, nourishing the roots that are further down and where they stay protected and where there's more nutrients. When soil absorbs water gradually, it retains pockets of air that the roots need to breathe. If you are consistently saturating the soil, then the roots will suffocate. Where with pulse watering, it prevents this by giving the roots both air and water. Now that you know what pulse watering is, how do you do this in your backyard? Manually applying water in intervals can be achieved by using a hose or watering can. Use a hose with a soft spray nozzle or a watering can to avoid damaging the soil structure or causing runoff. And you water each bed until the soil is slightly saturated, and then you pause for a few minutes. You let the water absorb and then you apply the next plant. Kevin from Epic Gardening, he calls this water, wait, water. Okay, so while you're waiting for that bed, you can be watering the other beds. Okay, so I would water every second day like this. But if it's in summer and it's really hot and dry and windy and whatever, then I would do it every day, maybe twice a day. But this is quite labor intensive, so I wouldn't do it on a really big garden. If you've just got a small little kitchen garden, then this method will work just great. Option 2 would be you would use a sprinkler system on a timer. So you would set the timer to come on 2, maybe 3 times a day, but only for 10 minutes. And you want to use that very gentle, almost like rain setting. So I've got a spray that's, I think they call it oscillating, that does that. Or you can use those old-fashioned ones which sort of fountain like that. But I don't think the spraying one which sort of pulses like that will work. So you would do that every other day, or if it's really hot and dry and windy, you could do that every day. And you will only do it for 10 minutes. And 2, maybe 3 times a day. The third method is using a drip irrigation system. What I do is I set my timer for 5 minutes and I set it to come on 4 times a day. And originally what I did was I had it coming on for 6 minutes, and I think I had it coming on 5 times a day, and that was just too much. So I reduced it. It comes on 4 times a day and for 5 minutes. So what you want to do is you want to see how long does it actually take for all your lines to fill up to the furthest point. So you set your timer or your drip on, and then you time it. How long is it going to take for it to get to my furthest point is there, and then there by the orange tree. And it takes about a minute on my system, and then all the lines are filled up. And then you add, so in my case it takes 1 minute, so then you can add 4 or 5 minutes to that. So in total I'm having 1 minute to fill up the lines. It's actually less than a minute, but let's say 1 minute to fill up the lines, and then an additional 4 or 5 minutes to irrigate. And then I set that to come on 4 times a day. I use the digital timer, and it works a treat. The important thing to remember is to mulch. Guys, I cannot tell you the benefits of mulching. I have had, even with this pulse watering method, there's been places where maybe a leaf has been blowing in the wind and it's removed the mulch to that level that it exposes the soil. And that is dry. The top, like 10 centimeters is dry, where if you move the mulch away, it is beautiful and moist. So mulching, it adds to the soil fertility, and then it prevents your soil from drying out, and it protects your drip tape or your drip line. So mulching, I can't encourage you enough to mulch. What I use is wood chips, and it works a treat for me. It takes longer to break down. However, this batch of wood chips that I have got now, it was quite fine, so it did break up quite quickly, so I'm going to have to get a new batch. But wood chips, it's really, even bark. People speak about bark from the pine trees and it's going to make the soil acidic. That is not true. There's so many myths out there. That is not true. It just takes too long to break down. And in any case, your plants know they can regulate their own acidity and stuff, so you don't need to worry about that. I found this to be quite a sort of technical kind of video, but just to sum it all up, pulse watering relies on capillary action to improve water distribution and to reach plants' roots more effectively. Studies indicate that this method can save significant amounts of water, prevent deep percolation. What is that? Well, in other words, where the water bypasses the root zone quickly due to gravitational forces, especially in sandy soil. That's where my water goes when I'm watering, and I'm like, where is it? that's what's happening. And then it also prevents surface runoff and enhances soil moisture distribution, making it ideal for sustainable gardening or sustainable farming practices. In this day and age, guys, water it's a story. I mean, there's places that are flooding, then there's places that are having drought, and it's a resource that we really have to look after. I'm also going to put a link in the description of a podcast that I listened to where these ladies are flower farmers. The one is in Australia, and she got this pulse watering from a book that she read from a guy in Australia. And you know, Australia is very similar to us. Their climate is very similar to us, and they've got very dry and arid kind of regions. There are those sort of tropical things, but that's this tiny bit. And it is working. So I highly encourage you to adopt this method of watering. And if you ever can, do install a drip irrigation system. It is a game changer. I didn't want to do it because I just thought it's going to just drip here in this little area, and the water is not going to spread out, and it's not going to support all the soil life. So I'm not interested until I found this pulse watering. And you even use less drip lines, which means it's less drip lines or drip tape, whatever you're using. I'm using drip tape, and therefore it is even a greater water saving. So I really hope you found this video useful, and if you did, please share with your friends and like and subscribe. And if you are using this pulse watering method, please comment in the comments below. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching to the end, and I hope you have a fantastic day further.